journalist can be inhibited from fearlessly performing your duty because you are getting viciously trolled by someone. Now, should you or should you not have an effective remedy? You can't be asked to go and file a civil suit and pay court fees on that. To protect your right of freedom of expression itself, the law of defamation is necessary. Secondly, today, the most vulnerable section are the women in professions who are the subject of defamation about how they get along in their careers. About women politicians are the most vulnerable, so are women journalists. Now, for the protection of this most vulnerable section, again, the only effective remedy is the criminal law.
Dr. Swami, you wanted to comment, sir?
Yes, I just want to say that the Supreme Court of India in 1994 had reversed the burden of proof for politicians. They said politicians have access to media and they can deny a charge and challenge the defamer to prove it, and the public opinion would help him on that. So they said that there should be a different standard for those in public life, and they reversed the burden of proving on the public person. Now that same thing could have been done in this defamation matter, but the Supreme Court did not touch it, even though I argued the matter that as a alternative, he could reverse the burden on political people filing defamation cases by making them prove that the charge was not true. Yep. And therefore, unlike the law at present, that where the onus is on the accuser.
Yeah. Pinky, you want to come in there, because I think that's an important point that Dr. Swami makes, that a person can be prosecuted even if they have actually spoken the truth according to the laws which the court has upheld today. The argument of that the truth is a fundamental defense, has that, in a sense, is that weaker today than it was earlier?
Not at all. Not at all. I think, Vishnu, we are really going the wrong way forward, because what the judgment ultimately does is not to go into what is defamation, what should be a defense to defamation, what constitutes in a given fact the prosecution itself. The only question is whether defamation should remain on the statute book as a valid law, or is it invalid or unconstitutional. That was the ultimate discussion, and it is a welcome step. Look, you provide law in order to provide the contours of the rights of the individual and the state, how the state and the individual and the individual and the individual on one side should coexist. And while dealing with this, the ultimate upholding of the entire law is that you have a fundamental right of reputation, you have a fundamental right of the state to have this sharing of reputation, which the court has really evolved as a theory, and this is a very welcome step. On contouring of any given law, you will have it from time to time. The courts will step in, there will be jurisprudence to say these are the given facts, or what should be the exception, should it be different for politicians, should it not be different for politicians, should it be different for individuals. For example, there is always a divide between public and private. There is always this divide on defamation itself. So you have several divides. I think, but this is a wider contouring of the right which has been upheld, and it is high time that we as a society realize that it is not good enough to say we have fundamental rights. We have a fundamental right, but we also have a fundamental duty to others who have a right, and that is what the whole meaning of this defamation law would be.
I think it's all about accountability, our own accountability towards ourselves, accountability of others towards themselves and to us, and respect. I think that's what is fundamental. Perhaps we see too little of that. I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us. Raghav, sorry, we're completely out of time. But an important verdict by the Supreme Court: criminal defamation laws do remain in our country. That is to ensure, the Supreme Court has said, that the fundamental respect is that an individual, a citizen, enjoys remains one way or the other. Thanks very much for being with us. Goodbye.